Good morning and welcome everyone to Wired by Logic, our podcast where we discuss technology and business and all things AI. I'd like to introduce my guest, Lazar. He's co-founded several different companies and he's currently working as a senior lead designer at the largest marketing, design community in Serbia?
Yeah, I co-founded the largest design community in Serbia and working as a lead designer at big corporation.
Okay, interesting. Well, tell me a little bit about your background. I noticed from your profile, there were several different companies you had on LinkedIn. I'm involved in several different companies, so it interests me in people's business background and how they came to be to where they are and kind of the story behind that.
Yeah, sure. So I think it all starts with the start of my career back in 2016. I think I started working professionally as a designer in 2016, but even a couple of years before that, I was always interested in building stuff and in building products. So basically, from the beginning of my career, I was working as a designer from 9 to 5, but from 5 to 9, I was building a bunch of different stuff. I've had some successful exits in the e-commerce. Where I managed to build a couple of e-commerce print-on-demand shops and also led them to acquisition. So that was one part of my building experience. And the most recent one, which is called Detachless, we were building website builder on top of Figma for a couple of months actually. And yeah, it's been a crazy ride since 2023 when we first came up with the idea. We were actually the first one with the idea on the market. Things didn't go well in the meantime. One of the main reasons why we decided to shut it down was Figma sites. For those who don't know, Figma is the most popular tool for designing websites, forms, and bunch of other stuff. Just a little bit of context for non-design people. So yeah, we kind of started the idea where we wanted to streamline the process from designing a website to publishing an actual website on the link, where designers would not need to lose the time on the hosting part and all of those technical part, which is very often a difficult part for designers and the marketing people. So we wanted to streamline that process, and we also kind of started building it by the books. We launched the wait lists, then we did some marketing literally based on nothing. I made a prototype in Figma, did some screen recordings, and based on that demo video, we managed to collect more than 1,000 signups on the wait list.
Wow.
Which was pretty awesome and definitely gave us some and some motivation to continue with the building the product itself. So the last year in the first place, that was only my idea. I was the only one in the team, but like a year and a half ago, I managed to gather the team together. I invited some ex-colleagues to join me on this ride. So at the almost all of the time, there was three co-founders. I was in charge for everything except the development, and my co-founders were technical from the front end and the back end part of the product. So yeah, we managed to build complete product and to launch the first version. I think it was June in 2024 when we went live with the private beta, and a couple of months later we managed to launch our first public beta and to release some pricing plans, to broke servers multiple times a day, and all of the other bunch startup stuffs that can happen to you in the beginning.
Yep.
And by the end, we managed to get, I think, around K users. So yeah, there are some numbers that I'm proud of so far. We definitely learned a lot of stuff along the way from the some boring legal stuff about opening the US company, for example, from interviewing a bunch of early users and stuff, doing some research along the way. And of course, closing down the company is also one experience to have in the portfolio. So I guess we are now settling down our minds to start something new with a really, really great set of different experiences.
Yeah, that's interesting. How did you find, I founded SD Tech way back in 2000. I grew an interest in technology in middle school and high school. My dad used to be an architect, and back in that day, I'm kind of dating myself here, but back in the day, you couldn't go to like a Best Buy, or there was no Dell to go get a computer out. You had to normally build from components. So my dad would build these PCs and use them for AutoCAD. And I think it was like AutoCAD version 1 or version 2 or something. Like, it was a really, really early version. It was a piece of garbage. It would crash all the time. And half the time you couldn't even get it to load because it didn't have enough RAM. And that was back in the day when you had like base RAM and extended RAM and all this other kind of stuff. And I just remember him messing with the computers all the time, trying to get them to work. But it fascinated me because I'm very much a hands-on person. And so I grew a love for technology. And so that's the career path I went down. I worked at a couple different corporations. That didn't really interest me. I wanted to do something on my own. And so in 2000, I took the leap and started my own MSP. It was more of a computer repair company back in the day. But I did, along the way, a couple other friends of mine that also started around the same time. About 12 years into it, is like 2012-ish time frame or so, we discussed the possibility of creating a third entity, a third company, and growing that together. And we thought, hey, if you have four, like-minded individuals that are also very high-thinking, owner-level type personalities, we can really push this thing quickly. And so we formed the other company. We came in together as a partnership. And we worked on it for a couple of years. We made more progress in the few years from when we started it than either of us separately made in the first 12 years, which is crazy. But ultimately, differences in opinion and how things should be managed. I can get into the story later, but one of our biggest opportunities with one of our clients, Massage Heights, came during that partnership, and the other partners didn't want to move forward with that opportunity. I saw the value in that opportunity. I wanted to move forward, so I put up my own money to make that opportunity work, and it's paid forward 10,000 fold. What's been your experience in working with partners? Was it positive, negative? Are you guys still friends now? I'm still friends with them. It was a little contentious at first, but I'm still friends with them after leaving, and we go see Marvel movies and stuff like that all the time. That's what we kind of enjoy doing. But tell me a little bit about your experience with partnerships.
Yeah. So this is my second startup that I shut down. Basically, the first one we never shipped. It was totally different team from this one. So yeah, I'm still friends with all of them. They are there are some really great people, but I think there are a lot of different things that needs to come together so everything and the project itself can run smoothly. For my first startup, it was like 4 years ago, for example. We started as a team of 3 of us, and then we extended the team with fourth and fifth people. And when you gather 5 smart people in the same room to decide some basic stuff, you get a meeting that lasts for a couple of hours. So
Yes.
that that basically killed my first startup because all of us had some experience in different. Some of us was in charge for a couple of parts of the company or startup, however you want to call it. But at the end, no one takes the lead. No one came up with the leadership. So after a long time of prolonging stuff and postponing the launch multiple times, we slowly started losing the motivation. So that was the reason why a couple of co-founders decided to drop out. And after the first dropouts, we that are left at the startup were very demotivating, and we silently shut it down. So yeah, we're still friends and we're still kind of hanging out from time to time, of course, but that was one of the ideas that we decided to kind of bury. For Detachless, the situation were very similar. I was the only one at the beginning Detachless was not website builder at the very beginning. It was just UI library for designers. And then after a couple of months, when I decided to pivot to a website builder on top of Figma, I realized that I need some technical support since I'm not a fully technical person. So that's the reason why I decided to kind of reach out to friends and ex-colleagues to help me with this idea. So basically, along the way, we of course had some misalignments, bigger or smaller, but we managed to get over them. And at the end, along the way, we multiple times wanted to kind of make some different splits of the shares, but actually that never happened probably because I needed to lead that, and it was really tough topic to talk about at some points. So of course I prolonged that by the end. So at the end we shut down the company like the equal partners, and luckily we're still friends and we're still talking to each other. So there
That's
was
good.
some small misalignments here and there, but at the end we kind of completed the mission with very positive
Good. Yeah, it's always difficult with a partnership, and you have different ideas of how things should progress or what you should do to push agendas forward or what even the agendas should be. One of our largest clients, Massage Heights, that was the opportunity that we had a chance to get in with. And when I shared the opportunity with my partners, it was only for 5 phones, and 5 phones is not a lot. It's not a lot of recurring revenue, maybe like $250 a month or something like that. And so their argument was, hey, we got to come out of pocket like $2,000. It's going to take us, with the cost of providing the service and everything, it's going to take us like 2 years to ROI on that investment. And my argument was, I don't care if it takes 2 years, because if that gets our foot in the door with the franchise, we could then grow our influence within that franchise. So I'm looking at the big picture. I'm looking at, hey, where can this take us down the road in 2 years? Not, oh man, I don't know if I want to make this investment because it may take 2 years to pay back. And that relationship's blossomed into now we do all their new build outs. Like when they have a new location, they just connect us with the owner. We work with them to design the network layout and all that kind of stuff, go out and do the build. We support all their tablets, phones, and all that kind of good stuff. We even support corporate now. And then that helped us get introduced to other franchisors, the Gents Place, it's a men's grooming salon, and then Glow Tanning as a tanning salon. So all of those opportunities came out of this chance that I took on this one location and these phones. So, not everything works out, obviously, as you mentioned. With you had a great idea, you got a bunch of people signed up. I mean, 5,000 pre-registrations, that's a lot. But ultimately it didn't. I did, yeah, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't take the chance on it. So,
course.
business is tricky. Business is challenging. Not every opportunity works out, but that doesn't mean you stop trying and give up. So it's interesting too with that you're talking about you're not highly technical, you're more on the design side. The lady I did the podcast with last, she's on the UX design side, and she was discussing some of the nuance to designing the UI, making sure that the end goal that the client's trying to achieve, that they design it in such a way that it meets those goals for the client, the usability that they want, but it can also be automated or connected to whatever backend pieces need to happen by the engineers or the programmers. Because kind of like an architect, and an architect could work with a client on designing a house, and they could say, oh, I want this big open space between the kitchen and the living room. And then they have to figure out, well, okay, now we can't put this load-bearing wall there between the kitchen and the living room. How are we going to support the second story that's above the kitchen? You're going to have to put like a steel I-beam or something there, the columns that have to support that, and everything else that goes along with it. So how do you massage in not only the client's goals for how it should look, but also the technicalities behind it to make it work? You would work with, I guess, your other two partners, you said, with Detachless were more on the technical side. So were they doing the application design, or how did that partnership look between you guys?
Yeah. So I don't know how to say, but we split the job like the most startup teams. So Yeah, I like to say that I didn't do development, unfortunately, because on the other part, which is not development, there are much more things to do, especially now in the era of the AI, where anyone almost can build a complete product. So yeah, we were organized on a simple way. I think I was in charge in a product decisions, marketing decisions, sales, and stuff like that, talking with users and all of this non-technical part. And of course, they were in charge of technical decision, what servers we were gonna use, how we will organize the algorithm for transforming design to static pages, HTML and CSS and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely different when you need to design and decide for yourself rather than your client when you're doing some services. Design is great example to compare how your design looks like when you design for yourself and your product, and how design looks like when you design for a client. I think it's a totally different design. Yeah, and our website was never up to date. Our website was basically updated like 2 years ago. I don't know. I only mattered that main call to action is linked properly, and basically that's all. I barely had a chance to change it at all, probably because I had a bunch of different and more important stuff to do in a day. So yeah, when I design a website for myself, it's basically the MVP started as an MVP, but probably it's been in MVP for 2 years, I think. But when someone pays you to design a fully crafted website with some unique stuff related to the client and the industry he's in, it's a totally different game, and you approach it in a very different ways. So yeah, it's definitely fun to design for yourself, but you are much, how to say, you are much straightforward. You matter only on a business impact. So yeah,
Right.
that's
I
the
think that's
interesting part.
true with a lot of companies that are able to design their own website. It's never as up to date as something you do for a client. It's kind of like the old thing where it's like the plumber has all these plumbing issues at his house, and it's like, how do you have plumbing issues? You're a plumber, but they're not paid to fix their own plumbing. They're paid to fix clients' plumbing, so that's where they spend their time. And I get it. I get it. We probably haven't updated our website in a year or two, and it really needs a little bit of a refresh. We got new headshots the other day, which is really nice, but other than that, I don't think we've updated a lot of the content. So, what what made you come up with the idea for Detachless, and then how did you market that? Because you said you got like 5,000 signups. That's incredible. Most
Yeah,
people struggle in the area of client acquisition, but it sounded like you had a droves of people signing up.
yeah. So the idea, as most of my ideas came up, firstly as my own problem that I wanted to solve. So basically, that was another problem that I wanted to solve. As I mentioned earlier, Detachless started just as a library for the UI components inside of Figma. That was like my first product that I launched by myself, and that was as well the product for myself. I needed that library in a way organized and stuff, and I was like, why wouldn't I post this and talk about it for some time and to see some reactions? And that's how it was. I launched the very first version of the library on LinkedIn. At that time, I didn't have too much connection on LinkedIn, maybe 2 or 3K, something like that. But people started to liking the library. I started using it for projects, and I was amazed. I was very happy about it, and then I got the motivation. I got the constantly motivation for improving it and adding more components, adding more templates and stuff. And after a couple of months after I launched the library, I realized that I have a domain, but I still don't have a website. I just set up the redirection from domain to point out to a library page, which is hosted on the Figma community. It's basically a template library. And at that point when I realized, okay, I need a landing page, and I was like, okay, now I will once again design it in Figma, and then I will do the double work on some other platform like Framer, Webflow, or WordPress. So that was the point when I realized that there might be a technical possibility to bridge this gap, to not do the double work. So that was the point when I decided to pivot and to dive deeper into technical part of the Figma API and what can be done. So very first version of the plugin and the website builder I did by myself back in the day with the help of ChatGPT. Now there are a lot of better tools for the coding, but at that time that was the best one. So I dig deeper to see what I can get from Figma, from the technical part, and how that can be transformed to do HTML and CSS. And I realized that there might be a chance to complete this task and to make a product based on this. So that was the point when I designed the UI of our imaginable plugin and then I prototyped it, and then I also recorded the demo video. I put it on the landing page, literally made a hero section with headline like publish your websites immediately from Figma, sign up here, here's the demo video, and I put also some number of signups which I updated on a weekly basis, and that's basically it. From that point, which was I think November 2023 until the June 2024, we didn't have a product at all. We only had this demo video, which I used to promote the product. And in that period, from launching the waitlist and launching the private beta, I tried all of those growth tactics and growth hacks to build the community, to talk about the product that I didn't have at that point. So some things worked out, some things didn't work out, but eventually we managed to collect thousands of users on the waitlist and later to convince them to try the product after we launched it. So yeah, it was a pretty wild ride back then.
It sounds like it. I mean, it's very interesting. So I'm not familiar with Figma. Is it like a WordPress or?
Figma is basically upgraded Photoshop. It's just focused more on the UI, more on the web design, app design, and stuff like that. So there are a lot of improvements compared to the Photoshop and other popular design softwares. But it did take the lead, and it almost has the monopoly in design space. I think more than 80% of the market is using Figma for web design and app design, which is insane. But yeah, they mostly skyrocketed during the COVID era, since they launched some features for collaboration. And in the COVID era, we really needed collaboration to work perfectly, since we were all working remote from all parts of the world. So that was the kind of breakthrough moment for design softwares. We kind of all work together in the same files and everything is synced perfectly.
Yeah. Well, that's really neat how you're saying you weren't a technical person or not as technical. I mean, obviously you have some technical background, otherwise you wouldn't even know what any of this stuff is. But you were able to use ChatGPT to get a prototype version built. And then I guess you brought your partners in afterwards and they kind of helped make it a reality, I guess, right?
Yeah. That's basically how it went. I managed to build a very first version when on the click you get some information from the Figma. That was like the step 0. And then with that version of the plugin, I was like, okay, guys, now we have this and we need to transform it to that. So yeah, build me the algorithm for that. So it sounds much easier than it was from this perspective, but there were a lot of challenges along the way, a lot of limitations as well. But we tried and we managed to overpass a bunch of them in the meantime. But yeah, my small technical background really helped me to understand what we are gonna build and what we were building along the way. So yeah, that was kind of double-sided sword. Why is it good that I'm technical and why is not? It was definitely good because I can understand the language of my co-founders. But why was it bad? I think with small technical knowledge, I'm a little bit, my vision can be shortened because I'm kind of in a box of some technical possibilities. But I think I managed to get out of the box and see the vision more rather than my technical limitations. So yeah, it was great to kind of understand the very basics and to kind of see how the products can grow.
Yeah. And so what happened to the plugin? You said you shut the company down or whatnot. I mean, are people still able to use it, or what? How does that look now going for? Just no more updates, I guess, right?
Yeah, so from the very beginning, we were aware that Figma might build something similar sometimes in the future. That's probably the most asked question that I got from the people and from the investors and from every other designer who I talked with. So with that in mind, we were aware from the beginning that it might kill us at some point. The point with Figma is that they have this annual conference that is happening usually in May or June every year, and that conference they announce some big updates, some big releases. They announce some new products and new acquisitions of smaller products like ourselves. And we survived their annual conference last year, but eventually we did not survive this year conference. So Config, the name of the conference, the name of Figma conference is Config. Config this year came out in May this year, and there were some leaks before the conference that they might launch some website builder along with other great launches and releases. And we were ready. Okay, this is the year when it's happening. So we prepared the plan B, since there is no chance you can compete with them on their own platform. Like, they have the visibility of all users. You only have the visibility of your network, and my network was only my LinkedIn network and Twitter and Reddit and etc. But in the short term, we decided to move to Penpot, which is a Figma alternative with some differences in a couple of different parts. But the main difference was it is an open source, more focused on the developers community, and it's basically you design in code, so there is nothing in between what you see and what you get as a code output, which is a great, and in some parts it's better than the Figma itself. So yeah, we spent the summer adapting some stuff to work for our product to work on a Penpot platform, and we kind of did that, but we also wanted to make some closer partnership with the platform of Penpot. I wanted to make some kind of partnership, and I wanted to make all of those things that I didn't manage to do with Figma, because Figma is much bigger ecosystem than the Penpot. I was like, okay, let's try to make a partnership with Penpot. Maybe we can do some mutual marketing activities like product hunt launch, some webinars, some courses for the YouTube or stuff or something like that. But it was happening too slow for my liking. And in the meantime of that process, I realized that it might be better for us as a team and for my mental health, of course, to shut down the company and to move on, because I realized that there might be some bigger opportunity in the future, and it might be better to shut down and just move on. Since we already hit the ceiling multiple times, we really made some great connections, talked to some awesome users, and yeah, that's basically how we ended. Still in the we helped our users to migrate from our platform to any other platform like Framer or Figma sites. So we're still offering kind of support for that, but we'll completely shut down the product anytime soon. So we will still leave our free tools to be available on the Figma community and some free resources like our UI kit that will be available for like forever. We don't have a reason to shut that part down. We're just shutting down the plugin part since we have a lot of costs on the infrastructure and stuff.
Right.
So yeah, we're leaving the free tools to the community so they can use it, but we're shutting down our main product, which is a publishing plugin.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, it sounds like it was a great journey and a great experience, but yeah, it's difficult. I know, similar to what you were describing with how the manufacturer came in as like, that's a cool tool, let's replicate that. And they have a lot more capital and application designers and just resources to make that happen. We used to use a platform called 3CX for all our phone systems. And there was an outside company called VoIP Tools that built a lot of cool plugins for 3CX. And along the way, 3CX started adding those features natively into 3CX. So then all of a sudden, it's like VoIP Tools had like 10 tools they could sell to clients. Well, now they only have 9. And then next year was like, now it's only 8, and then it's only 7. And it's like, well, you can't compete with the main company because they've got all the client base, not just the client base you work with, and they've got the inside track to how the application works. So yeah, that's a difficult one to compete with. Well, I mean, at least you guys got to have that experience in building that company. There's a lot of people that have never built a company. So
Yeah.
you said you built several. Do you want to share some of your experience with some of the other companies you built? You said you built some and exited, and
Yeah, sure. I can definitely. Yeah, I just wanted to point out what you just said. Yeah, we definitely learned a lot of stuff along the way, and I think that's the most valuable part when you're launching your first startup. The other companies that I launched, I will share one story about the most successful exits that I had. It started as a service business where I was designing t-shirts, stickers and flags for football fans here in my country. So it was just a basic service business, like back at the days I was in the high school and I was getting paid like $5 for one design or something like that. It was really, really cheap at that time, but I just used that money to buy more food at high school. So it was really a great experience. And it really started like that, as I mostly started this at 15 years old. I just can design flags and stickers for my crew and my group and my friends. That's basically why I started digging deeper into design. And after that, when I started making some money while designing flags and t-shirts for other football groups along my country and the region and Europe, it started to scale. Eventually, a couple of years after I started that, I was making a solid amount of money still on service design. And at one point, when someone asked, do I print flags and stickers? I was like, no, but let's say yes, and let's see how I can make money from that. So at that point, I printed out the first flag and the first bunch of stickers at my local print shop here. And I just needed to figure out how to send that to the Germany, to the Cyprus, to the England. That first order to England was the main one, and was the order that caused the domino effect, because that one order bring me at that time more tens of other orders. So that's how I started pivoting from service design to just offering printing offer. And then I upgraded the website. My brother came in to the team as a co-founder. Again, he helped me to build a new website. So suddenly, from small service design, we've built a platform for football fans worldwide, mostly from the UK and England. And our main product was the user came to our website website, they design a flag. On our website, they just pay for the flag and they got the flag on their addresses. And it was really fun to work on that project since I'm still the football fan myself, and it was really good to kind of produce football flags for other fans around the world. Probably if you ever watch England playing football or with some other nations, probably on the terrace and where the fans stands, probably some of the flags are made in Serbia at my place, and probably we produced them. So it was really great experience. And we managed to scale that business to like 10 to K MRR with, I don't know, 200 flags per month and 10,000 stickers produced per month, which was really insane. At that point, we were like, at the first place, we were producing everything here locally in Serbia. We had partners in local print shops separately for stickers and for the flags, and we were like the main clients at the local post shop. We were like friends to them. We knew exactly which lady is working on what day and what else. And that's when we hit the ceiling with production here locally. We also had some problems with the customs. Of course, a lot of papers needs to be filled for each order.
Wow.
And at some point, we got a call from the customs where they were threatening us for some lawsuits because some prices did not match on our websites and on our packages. So that was kind of very, very huge challenge to us so we were like, okay, at that point we had like K dollars of goods at customs, K dollars goods at our room, at our parents' house, and we had like the same amount of orders in the backlog. So we were like, okay, we need to kind of resolve this as soon as possible, but that's the reason, that's the first moment when we tried to sell the complete project. We didn't manage to sell it at that point, but what we managed to do at that point was to find the vendor and the partner for the production in the UK. Since the most of our orders were coming from England, like 80 to 90%, we found the partner in London, which was basically our competitor. But he decided to give us a good prices and to start working with us. And at that point, we just continued to work just regularly. We completely stopped producing goods and shipping from Serbia. So we completely switched to print on demand, automated e-commerce shop. And at that point, we hit some really great numbers, like I mentioned earlier. And we also had the opportunities to work with some YouTubers as well, to send them the flags for the World Cup, and we also managed to deliver some of the flags in person to football fans that came up to Belgrade here to watch Liverpool Red Star, for example. That's one of the most interesting stories that I like to say. When the Red Star was playing against Liverpool here in Belgrade, we got the query from the Liverpool fan because he ordered too late to get the flag before the flight to Belgrade.
Yeah.
I just told him that we can just give him the flag since we are located in Belgrade. He was amazed, and we gathered together in Belgrade for a couple of beers and to take some pictures with the flags. It's one of the fun stories. The other fun stories is that one of our first customers, which is a fan of Swindon Town, he sent me the shirt of the Swindon Town for free. And that's really a nice part of the business where there is not everything in business metrics and the numbers and the finance. Those couple of stories were really encouraging me and my brother to continue working on it. But at one point, like 3 years ago, we decided that it's maybe time to move on, and at that point we tried to sold the company again, and the first person who we reached out to was our partner, our vendor from London, and yeah, he immediately agreed to buy the project from us, to buy all the emails, all the technical infrastructure, our website and the brand. So yeah, that was the kind of end of my longest projects that I worked from like my 15 year to my like 25 years. So almost something like that, almost 10 years. I worked on that project, scaled it from the service design to a fully automated e-commerce shop. So it was really, really nice to be part of that.
Yeah, that's quite a. You said 15 years total?
I started at 15 years old, but it
Okay.
lasted almost 10 years.
10
So
years. Okay, yeah.
around 10, yeah.
That's a long time. That's a long time to run any business. Man, it feels like an eternity ago that I started SD Tech, and it's been, the first, I don't know, maybe 12 years or so wasn't all that exciting. It was very, very like gradual growth. In our field on the IT side of things, it's not a whole lot of, at the beginning, there wasn't a whole lot of monthly recurring revenue. It was more project-based work, break fix kind of things. The AI venture that we're starting is going to be focused on monthly recurring revenue, which is nice. And now for the most part, IT has shifted into the same type of model of mainly monthly recurring revenue and some, project work here and there, like upgrades and things like that. But a lot of it is focused on getting clients under a support contract of some sort. That way it's not only predictable for the client, but it's also predictable for your cash flow. And then you don't have to worry about all the manual billing because that's just annoying. It's difficult to track. The client wants it fixed and you rush to fix the issue and you're not focused on the billing side of it, then they get free service. So you miss it like, hey, do we ever bill so and so, 8 months back? But I remember when I first got started, I think the first year, I think we only did like 24,000 in revenue for the entire year. And I thought to myself, oh man, this is great. Like this is my own business. I made 24,000. I think at the time my salary that I had at whatever company I was working at prior to that, I think was probably like 36,000 for the year or something. So it's less than I was making at a corporate job, but I got to dictate what I did with my time, which is a plus and a minus. Obviously, when you're running your own business, you have to make sure you get up every day. You have to make sure you go to work. You have to make sure you fill the customer orders, because if you don't fill the customer orders and all of a sudden they go find a different company to use, then you're out those customers, So that's the flip side of it. It's not always, everyone thinks it's glorious to own your own business, but it's not always that glorious. Sometimes it's very stressful. Like
Yeah,
you were saying earlier, peace of mind. And that's why you wanted to shut down one of the more recent ventures, because it takes a toll on you. And day in and
yeah.
day out, you're the guy that has to solve all the problems. You're the guy that has to make sure that the ship keeps moving in the right direction. I'm fortunate that in recent years, it was about 6 years ago or so, I met my Shane, and Shane has been an absolute game changer in our organization. He brings some prior colleagues that he had worked with in the past at other positions, bring them in and put them in the right positions here in the IT company, and really help push our agendas forward. And so now I'm partnered with him in this new AI venture, and I really think we can take this to the next level fairly quickly. As we come up on the hour, I wanted to see if you had any closing thoughts in the company that you're working at now, which we didn't really get into that much, but what do you see in your current role? How does technology play a part? How does AI play a part, or how do you see it playing a part in the future?
Yeah, we didn't talk too much about my current company, since it's the basic design role at big corporations with enterprise clients and stuff like that. Yeah, AI is definitely taking a huge part of our job. I'm not sure when GPT launched, like a couple of years ago, let's say 3. Yeah, since then we witnessed insane stuff, insane improvements of ChatGPT, of Claude, of voice generation, image generation, video generation, and everything that. To be honest, yeah, AI is huge part of design roles in general, but my role especially, I like to say for myself that I'm product designer, and I use AI almost in all parts of of my job. I'm using it mostly as an assistant, as a colleague which sits next to me. I just like to discuss a lot of stuff with them before he actually helps me to build anything. I really like him to challenge my thoughts, and that's where the real value is coming from for me. So I use it in a research phase, then I use it in a design phase, and after we ship the product and we ship some feature, I actually use it to collect user feedback and then analyze the feedback and to see how we can improve something or delete something or just make something completely new on the product or the project or anything. So yeah, I think the times are already fun enough with the AI, but it will get even funnier from now on. I'm not sure when this episode will be live, but literally yesterday Figma and its competitor launched both separately some great features. Figma basically published a feature which gives you a junior designer one prompt away. So it's a huge for all junior designers and solo designers to have such superpower on their laptops. So you basically need a Figma Pro account, which is $15 per month, and you can deliver, I think, 10 times faster. For example, website, you can deliver it 10 times faster with 10 times more quality in your
Wow.
copywriting skills, design skills, and everything. Yeah, your only part of the job that's left now is distribution. You just need to find the clients to pitch to all of the companies in the world, like everywhere, and you just need to sell your services. Distribution will be the key differentiator in the future from now on, and in the past couple of years, of course. That's one of the main reasons why I decided to start posting some content on LinkedIn. That's probably because you guys found me as well. So yeah, I would like to wrap this up with encouragement for all people who are scared of posting online, that you should start doing it as soon as possible, literally now. You should not be ashamed to share your opinions, to stand behind your opinions, and it will pay off for sure. I can guarantee you that. It will not pay you off in 5 days or 10 days, but
Right.
it will definitely pay off in the next couple of months and years when you collect a huge amount of the connections and followers across all social media. I mostly focused on LinkedIn and X, or Twitter, how we called it earlier. But I also plan to jump on a YouTube journey and to film some videos, to do some podcasts similar to this one. But yeah, and that will put you in front of more and more people, especially for designers. This is sign for you to start sharing more work online, and you will get seen eventually just by sharing the work. And if you decide to share the content, the useful content as well, you will be like in a 10 times better position when applying for a job than the others who don't post online. So yeah, posting really gave me some really nice opportunities in the past, and I'm sure it will bring me much more in the future. So yeah, that's my closing thought for
That's great advice for everyone. I 100% agree with you, and I think just getting getting out there and sharing things with people is good, and especially on business platforms like LinkedIn. Well, Zara, I really appreciated having you on today. I appreciated all your input, all the stories you shared with us. I enjoyed our conversation, and hopefully we can do it again.
yeah, sure. The pleasure was mine as well. It was really pleasant talking to you, and yeah, let's stay in touch, and who knows.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Lazar. You have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, and you too. Bye bye.